Hi, I'm Dr. Jeniece Lusk, and I'm a sociology professor in the International Studies Department here at AUS. And I'd like to welcome you to Introduction to Sociology, otherwise known as Sociology 201. Here, I'll provide an overview of some introductory information, including my self-introduction and an introduction to the course and learning outcomes, the materials and assessments, the expectations and accessibility features, as well as some tips for success in this course. So my name is Jeniece Lusk, and usually my students call me Dr. Jeniece or Dr. Lusk. And I came to AUS in 2016 as a sociology professor. And before that, I taught in Japan for 3 years and also in the United States. And so a lot of my examples are kind of a combination of all three countries that I have had access to. Before I started teaching, I also worked in industry doing marketing research. And I went to graduate school in Texas at Baylor University. And before that, I went to a women's college in Virginia, Mary Baldwin College at the time, now university. I'm an applied sociologist by training, which means I love doing research, both quantitative and qualitative. And that I really enjoy doing research that will be used by someone. Public polls, marketing research, and things like that. I also love teaching a variety of courses, and just some of those courses here at AUS are environmental sociology, women's empowerment and international development, as well as intro to women's studies. And of course, introduction to sociology. Other courses that I've taught in the past include looking at demography, marriage and the family, social problems, death and dying, deviant behavior, and sociology of religion and religiosity. My office is located in HSB 2047. For those who were here before the building was renovated, that's the ELB1 building. And you can find me there for sure on Tuesdays from 1 to 4 p.m. Those are my official office hours. However, I'm usually in the office about 4 days a week, all day long, and you can always make an appointment to meet with me if 1 to 4 p.m. doesn't fit your schedule. If you need to contact me, I strongly urge you to send me an email at jlusk@aus.edu. It's just way easier for me to make appointments with you all and to figure out, the best way for us to communicate if we start with an email. But of course, first and foremost, come and drop by, come visit me. I want to see you. So please drop by, whether it's my office hours or not. But for things that are, very much related to the course, please come during those office hours or make an appointment. So this course is basically a survey of several sociological theories and topics, but these are just a representation of the topics that could be studied alone, each one for a single semester or for a person's entire career. And so we're just going to briefly go over all of these, and there's going to be a lot of content, a lot of concepts, but a lot of fun packed into our 15 weeks. We're going to split the course into 3 overarching units. This includes looking at sociological perspectives and methods, stratification and inequalities, and individual social institutions as well. We're also going to focus on topics that may seem familiar, but we're going to use perspectives that make the familiar strange, sometimes even making those things that we thought were familiar somewhat uncomfortable or controversial, right? And so we do touch on some sensitive topics in this course, but I also encourage you all to be as inclusive as possible, and to be as open-minded and tolerant as possible as well, and listening to different perspectives from different people who have different lived experiences and different cultural backgrounds. And while our text is US and Western centric, my goal is to approach these concepts and topics through a global lens that includes the MENA region and beyond. Remember that I am an American, born and raised in the US. And so a lot of my own personal experiences and examples may begin from that perspective of the US. However, this class is really about challenging these ideas of dominant ideology and what's seen as being the norm. And so I really encourage you all to bring in competing examples, and I will try my best to do the same. When it comes to the learning outcomes for the course, there are several that are listed in your soft copy of your syllabus, but I want to highlight a couple that we're focusing on. One, the development of the sociological imagination, which is really important, and that's basically key to being able to see those familiar things as being strange that I mentioned previously. Another is the ability to critically analyze social phenomena using the main sociological perspectives. And we'll be starting with that right off the bat on day one. Another thing that I think is really important is the demonstration of understanding of common sociological methods. So we'll talk about the different tools that sociologists use in the very beginning, and then we'll bring them up throughout as we look at studies and examples and research that exemplifies many of the concepts that we're going to be studying. So your text for this course is You May Ask Yourself, An Introduction to Thinking Like a Sociologist, written by Dalton Cooley. And yes, you have to purchase the book because one of the major forms of assessments for this course requires access to the text on a social reading platform called Perusal. And we'll talk about Perusal more in a bit. And I'll also provide a video that gives you more details on how to use Perusal and expectations for those assessments. The readings are all listed on the syllabus and schedule, as well as the page numbers and everything as well. So yeah, make sure you get your book ASAP. If you're a sponsor student in particular, contact the sponsorship office as soon as possible, letting them know that you're taking this course and you'll need access to the text from day one. And so here I've just provided a quick glance at what your text access is going to look like for this course via Perusal. You'll be able to access Perusal from Blackboard. There's a link there and a video about how to launch Perusal, and you'll always be able to go there and read the text. You'll be able to take notes and leave highlights. You can go into the library to see the entire text, but also you can look at assignments, like individual assignments, one by one, that I've given you for the reading. Now, you're expected to read all of the assigned readings, not only the ones that are given as Perusal assignments. And so keep that in mind. What you'll notice here, though, is that it's not your everyday online textbook, that there's highlighting throughout, and you'll notice comments along the right. And that's because it's a social reading platform. And so you'll be adding in annotations, the comments that you see on the right, and communicating with your classmates there. And you'll be able to see what they've added as well. You'll be able to like or upvote their comments and ask questions and answer them too. But more on that later. On to assessments. So for this course, you have 3 types of assessments: exams, in-class activities, and Perusal annotations. The exams are a weight of about 60% of your grade. And you'll notice that there are 3 of these exams that increase in weight as we go along, so that by the time you get to the heaviest weight, you will have developed confidence in your ability and the format of the exams. Each exam will have the same format. It's usually a mix of true, false, short answer, multiple choice questions. For the short answer questions, I give you a rubric to help guide your response and to remind you of the things that I am looking for and what I expect as far as formatting as well. And so again, no surprises there. For the in-class activities, these are nearly weekly in-class writing assignments, and you'll have 11 of these that are given on the schedule already. So in lieu of providing makeups, I actually drop your lowest in-class activity. So if you miss one and you get a 0 on it, no worries, because that one will be dropped. If you miss more than one, well, I only drop one. If you don't miss any of them, then just the lowest grade that you have in this category will be dropped. And they may be given at the beginning, the middle, or the end of a class session. Sometimes they're individual activities, sometimes they're group activities, but you'll always receive detailed instructions and a rubric for each. No surprises for these, right? These are really a great measure of your preparedness for the course and also your participation and engagement as well. And then finally, we have the perusal annotations. And so again, I'll have a video that's separate that will talk about what perusal is and how it works. But basically, perusal assignments are these reading assignments that are spread across the 15 weeks of the course. And for each assignment, you'll be expected to do or to leave at least 5 annotations of substance. And annotations are those comments that you saw previously. So there's no word maximum or minimum, but scoring includes many factors like how thoroughly you've read, how much your annotations reflect real interpretation and processes of concepts, and profound question asking. And so your annotations aren't meant to be overly formal. They can include links and images and memes, etc. They don't need to be overly academic, but they do need to reflect a true effort to process the course information and to make connections both within the course and beyond. And so again, we'll talk about this type of assessment again soon. So you'll notice that I've included an accessibility clause in the syllabus because I'm committed to offering a course environment that is inclusive and accessible. One of the things that I feel very deeply about is providing equal access to education for learners of all abilities. So if you face challenges or barriers that are an obstacle to your success in the course, let me know immediately. And if you're a student who has or thinks that they may have a disability of some sort, please initiate a conversation with me or, and this is like the important people, the Academic Support Center here on campus as soon as possible. The Academic Support Center will work with you on figuring out what accommodations you might need for the course and on coming up with an accommodation contract, which then you have to share with me and the rest of your professors. And that's what will get you some of the assistance towards having a more equitable experience in the course. When it comes to class attendance, yeah, you're expected to come to class. In this class, just like all of the others, there is the attendance requirement that you attend 85% of class sessions. So that means, since we have 28 class sessions this semester, that you have about 15% or 4 absences available to you. After the 4th absence, you will be dropped on the 5th, okay, from the course. Keep in mind that for my class, 3 tardies also equals an absence. And basically you're tardy if I've already called roll. I call roll about 2 or 3 minutes into the class start time. You also need to be present for 85% of each individual class session, or you'll be counted as absent again. So don't schedule anything during this class time or near it. Arrive in time to find parking and be prepared to park in the free parking and walk if you're able to do so. In addition, please stay for class, don't leave early, and don't come excessively late, right? So yeah. Now let's talk about some tips. All right, so looking at some tips for succeeding in this course. Overall, my number one thing is that I think that you should basically become a sociology nerd. Convince yourself that this is the greatest thing that has ever happened and that you're into it and that this is a fun course, right? A fun course that counts towards your GPA just like any other class. So thinking of the course as just a requirement or just an elective, or being outside of the scope of your field, that's a recipe for a disaster. So, go gung-ho into it, read, take notes, and be present for each session. So that, hits my first tip here. Come to class and come prepared. You're expected to prepare ahead of time, right? Other than the first week of the course, you're expected to have read the lecture materials ahead of time. During class shouldn't be the first time that you're encountering information or taking notes on it. Class time is actually about application and engagement, discussion and clarification, right? So you should come to class prepared to participate, okay? You should bring pen, paper, something to take notes with. And I really suggest that you take notes by hand. I know not everyone loves that, but there's something about that connection between you writing on a piece of paper or on your iPad or your Kindle Scribe with your hand, and your ability to really engage with material. Stay off of your phone during the class, and try to avoid opening multiple windows if you are using a laptop. Just take notes, no watching movies and doing social media on the side, because it won't help. Focus on future opportunities for credit rather than where you've lost credit on past opportunities. Everybody has room to improve, and nobody should come into any course expecting to get perfect scores from the beginning, right? That can be a hope that you have, but it shouldn't be an expectation. So focus on, how you can improve, what adjustments you need to make for the future, rather than trying to negotiate credit and points and, things like that. I always, encourage all of my students to focus on regular credit and the credits that are coming up, rather than extra credit or bonuses and things like that. Another key tip is to plug in all of the mini assessments for this class and all of your other classes in advance. Put them in your calendar somewhere, all of them. The exams especially, but also the perusal assignments as well as the in-class activities. And do this for every class so you can see how much you're going to have on your plate for an individual day, a week, a period of time that might be busy or another, that that's happening or coming up in advance. Get on Google Calendar, use a planner. I'm providing some free planner sheets on Blackboard that you can use in order to, facilitate this. And just at the very beginning of every semester, lay it all out, right? And if you find that there's some, problems or overlaps in your responsibilities that aren't going to work out, then you should use that to make a responsible decision about whether any course, including mine, is the right one for you at this moment in time. And then I have another tip, and it's kind of the same tip that I started with, and that means read and take the course seriously. This is a course that will be useful for you, both in your academic career and in your working career and just personal life, and beyond. So finally, thanks for listening, and welcome to Sociology 201, or Introduction to Sociology. If you have questions, please feel free to send me an email or contact me, and I look forward to seeing you on our first day of class. Bye.